They've chosen to receive, and deep back is Jeff Janis, and away we go. The preseason is underway. And 5 yards deep, Janis will bring it out for Green Bay. With a hit on the play by Jalen Mills.
Snap.
Ty Montgomery's in the backfield. First down and 10 for Hundley. Outside it goes for Randall Cobb, and with the beat on him and brought down by Jalen Mills. Against that 43 defense of Philadelphia. Second down, 9. Outside they go. This is Devontae Adams. Getting the play by Malcolm Jenkins on a gain. It's the plays of T.J. Lang, who is left as a free agent. Third down and 9 for Hundley. Good block by Bakhtiari. He's shy of the first. Adams makes the grab. Mills on him. The fullback is Carriage. And Montgomery in the backfield. Oh, somebody moved.
Boy, you hate that.
Yep. False start.
Now they'll punt the ball. An undrafted rookie long snapper as well, and Derek Hart. Not a good punt.
Nope, it was caught on the fly by Pumphrey. In time of 3-6.
For the last 8 years is players that can play in all 3 phases of the game.
Fake to LeGarrette Blount. Carson Wentz goes outside. Jordan Matthews stiff-arming his way into Kentrell Bryce with a gain of 5.
Nick Perry.
Carson Wentz had a rookie record 379 completions a year ago. This is LeGarrette Blount, and he's hit by a couple. Flags are down. Morgan Burnett.
Maybe 2 of the best in the business.
Offside. Defense number 53. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Nick Perry.
Britton Rollins, they have to play better on the edges.
It is a second down and 1. It's an end around Aguilar, former number 1 pick. Great tackle in the backfield made by Clinton Dix.
Comes the pressure.
They're bringing it. Wentz goes outside. Jordan Matthews got by Morgan Burnett and chased outside by Matthews and wrestled out of bounds. Here's in the one-time backup to quarterback Brett Favre here in Green Bay. First down and 10 from the 46. Fake to Blount. Offers the block. Down he goes. Wentz hit by a couple. A lot of pressure up the middle that time. Call that their nitro package. They bring Burnett down. Second down, 18. LeGarrette Blount, the former New England Patriot, and from behind hit once again by Morgan Burnett. In his second season, first possession tonight for the Eagles. Draw play, Blount. And he slips a couple tacklers, and then he is hit by Burnett and grabbed on the play by Jones, the rookie. From the Green Bay 42, a block by Blount. Wentz held, squirms, and gets it off to Matthews, who's brought down on the play by Joe Thomas. He's got the first down to the Green Bay 35. Now playing that slot corner is Ladarius Gunter. It's a 1st and 10. It's Blount. And climbing on his back and bringing him down. Well, Kenny Clark, second time, Rich, that Clark has been on a tackle. Lowry and Daniels on that line. Second down, 11. What? Nice tackle again by Burnett. Jumping on is Lowry. Another loss of a yard. Send him back to the Green Bay 37. Wentz, more pressure. Here comes Matthews. There goes Wentz. Downfield they go. Caught on the fly and with a good-looking run here. And in, Mike Collins gets the touchdown.
Clay Matthews misses a tackle. You've got a missed tackle right here by the rookie Kevin King. Another missed tackle.
In for 2. Blount dancing well and trying to pile drive his way, and he's shot. With all kinds of people coming in, blocking it up. Nick Perry was there. Some capacity. Bill Vinovich with the flag.
Holding. Defense number 76. Half distance to the goal. Retry from the 1-yard line.
Them already trying for 2 once again. Wentz in Philadelphia. After the 38-yard touchdown pass. Through the fingertips of Aguilar. Explosive plays hurt the Packers last year, Rich. And it got him again right there. Jeff Janis will take it out of the end zone for a second consecutive time on the Caleb Sturgis kickoff. And he's brought down by Patrick Robinson.
At this point in his career.
with Montgomery and Carriage in the backfield. Ty Montgomery brought down immediately on the play by Brandon Graham. Boy, is he a good player.
Preseason is a chance for him to really showcase his talents, and maybe someday, maybe next year after that contract expires, he'll get an opportunity to have his own team.
Montgomery just fumbled, and it was picked up by Patrick Robinson and Philadelphia. 21 times. He had 2 fumbles out of that. Now here's Wentz with the 1st and 10. And down the middle. Wentz is out now. Matt McGloin has come in with the run right there. And McGloin, who's got some NFL starts under his belt. He'll throw it outside, and this one is caught by Treggs. Clark and Lowry are the interior of the defensive line for Green Bay. McGloin with the fake handoff. This is Donnell Pumphrey. Oh, and he may have coughed up the ball. With the 2nd down and 5. And once again, they give it off to Corey Clement. Down in 4. McGloin on the back, Pumphrey, and he's knocked out of bounds by Josh Jones, the 2nd-round pick for Green Bay and a rookie out of North Carolina State. Corey Clement is in 4th and 1. And they got 3 tight ends. Clement hit, spins, and works his way back to the line of scrimmage. Hit by a couple. Joe Thomas comes in too. And
you have to be able to play the number of different players, and that's not easy for a young quarterback.
Number 1 offense, that is. Here's a Ty Montgomery handoff on 1st down and 10. And he was grabbed by Najee Good.
Training camp, and he knows what it takes to have himself ready for week 1.
2nd down and 12. Bakhtiari holds his man, and outside it goes. It's underthrown. Did it get scooped up by Adams? It did.
Amazing. 12 touchdowns from him, 14 for Jordy Nelson.
1st down and 10. They dump it off to Montgomery. And he takes it out, let's see, to about the 31-yard line. Hit on the play by Joe Walker.
Even as a wildcat quarterback if they needed him to do it.
Carriage, the fullback. Here comes Hundley. Ability was his calling card at UCLA as they go outside with the coverage right there by Jalen Mills. It's incomplete.
The practice field.
3rd down and 2, and Hundley looks into the nickel. Crossing pattern, nice catch made. Martellus Bennett's got the 1st down. And more. He has gotten his paces now with an 18-yard completion to Adams and a 13-yard pass to Bennett. It is a 1st and 10 handoff. As we start the 2nd quarter, now to the 48 with the gain of 4 on the play. And a 4th-round pick out of BYU. Jamal Williams, who right now is running with the 2nd team. Hundley, nice pass, but dropped inside Allison. 2nd offensive line is in there right now for Green Bay. 3rd down and 6. Hundley. And bobbled, and that does not look good for wide receiver Jeff Janis, who is on the bubble. Rookie free agent out of Miami. Wind negligible inside Lambeau tonight. Well placed. Humphrey at the 11, and he lets it go! And he finally reels it back in with a muff and a pretty good hang time, too, of 4-5.
At all 3 levels of the defense.
Matt McGloin, who played at Penn State with a 1st and 10, dumps it off to Pumphrey, the rookie. And a nice tackle made by Jaron Elliott.
Some juice coming off the edge.
He's been so good on special teams. 2nd down, 9. McGloin with pressure. Outside, gets it away. Bryce Treggs out of Cal. 3 for Philadelphia Eagle quarterbacks. Wentz and McGloin, 8 of 8. Humphrey, got a nice block inside there by Darrell Green.
Support, especially on the early downs. You'll see Morgan Burnett. You'll see Ha-Ha Clinton-Dix up around the line of scrimmage.
Trevor Davis is back. He's got lightning quick speed, as you can see. He's got a blocker, and he gets it. Jones to stop him. There he goes. Touchdown. 69-yard return. I guess he's serious.
That'll make you excited if you're Ron Zook. He could dramatically change field position. We know he's got great speed, but he's very patient with that last return.
With a kickoff here for Mason Crosby. Matt Collins is back. Collins had the 38-yard touchdown reception earlier in the game from Wentz. Here's that play once again.
Let's take a look at some of those blocks. You're going to see Evans come in. He gets a nice block. See a couple more at the top of your screen. There's one. There's one. And then he is off to the races. And you're not going to catch Trevor Davis. Kevin, you mentioned his speed. Certainly not the punter.
With the touchback out to the 25-yard line. Matt McGloin fake to Pumphrey. And on the cross, he gets it off to Adam Zaruba. Fake to Pumphrey, they go outside, and here they've got Trey Burton. And he takes it up, and that ball is knocked free. Gunter will vacuum it in with a big hit.
Emphasis, but it certainly has been a point of emphasis over the last 2 weeks.
Packers only have 4 yards rushing tonight. Williams 1st and 10. There's the hole, and there goes the run. As he submarines inside the 35-yard line of Philadelphia. Picks up about 5 on the play. The 2nd down and 5. Williams again, good cut. He was stuck on the play by Terrence Brooks. Picks up a yard.
We like the way we hustled around, made some plays, playing sideline to sideline. Unfortunately, we gave up that play. I missed that sack on what I believe was a 3rd down. That ultimately killed us. So we make that play, get off the field, and it's a different story.
Just picked up a 1st down. I understand in the offseason you are a well-rounded man. All right, Clay, thanks for the time.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Always learn something new down here on the sideline, guys. Clay Matthews. Kevin, back up to you.
Jamal Williams on 1st and 10 after the 10-yard completion to Geronimo Allison. 2nd down and 5. Brett Hundley.
Oh, God.
Oh, they got him. Janis, touchdown. Jeff Janis only had 11 receptions all of last season. In 3 years, he's only had 1 touchdown reception.
Really nice job by Jeff Janis selling the slant.
Conversion try by Crosby. There is a rookie holder. That is the punter. And there is an undrafted rookie who is long snapping. And Rich talked about that. They had trouble last week in the inter-squad game, but that time they drill it through. And with a look at Bryce, he would be the 2nd defensive back. They are taking to the locker room. The ensuing kickoff, it's going to go out of bounds into the 40-yard line. And the kickoff by Crosby.
Free kick out of bounds.
In the NFL, off-season work and training.
Ball placed at the 40-yard line, 1st down.
It's even different, Kevin, in training camp. I can remember training camp, you'd have to practice. A lot of guys would go have a couple beers time they get here.
Here comes Matt McGloin with the 1st and 10. Pumphrey. What a hit in the secondary coming through. Marwin Evans with a nice hit. No gain on the play. By the way, kids,
these 300-pounders can run. They're explosive. They can change directions, and they can track you down as a quarterback.
It's McGloin on 2nd down and 10. Goes outside. This guy fumbled the last time. Trey Burton. And out of bounds. He runs.
Anticipates that they'll pressure some and that the Eagles will as well.
It's a 3rd and 6 from McGloin. Look out from behind, and it's intercepted. It's picked off, and this is Thomas. Look at him run. The quarterback knocks him down. Joe Thomas.
Watch him. He's going to track the quarterback the entire way. And McGloin never feels it. He's expecting that burst route. There's a little bit of a collision there. He throws it behind the back, and Joe Thomas is there for the easy interception.
Find a niche on a team. He's elevated himself to a starter, and there with the pick. Hundley swings it outside, broken up nicely. They were going for Davis, and the coverage on the play. Monte Mays, a rookie out of Utah State, 2nd down and 10. Barkley with the block at the right tackle from behind, brought down. Derek Barnett, a rookie, the #1 pick for the Eagles, a volunteer from Tennessee.
Well, Jim Schwartz, he likes to blitz.
He does indeed. 3rd and 18. Hundley grabbed, got away on the play from Long, and then runs out of bounds and shoved out of bounds by Michael Kendricks.
Out of patience with the veteran kicker, Kevin, like Mason Crosby, just to trust it's going to be a good snap, a good hold. You know, it's all about timing and rhythm, even in the kicking game. And Crosby's used to a certain holder.
Rich with the punt return of 68 yards and the 20-yard touchdown pass to Janis, and that 39-yard field goal. Green Bay and scored 3 straight times.
Been a good quarter of football for the Packers. Kevin, a lot of big plays on special teams, offense, defense.
And McGloin has taken him since. Matt McGloin with the 1st and 10. Humphrey Wrapped up nicely on the play. He was hit by Ricky Jean-Francois. Packers with 6. They blitz Thomas. They go outside. Big stick made by King. He just knocked.
But it's going to be hard when you have so many guys. You know, Jordy coming back off a great year. Devontae, Geronimo played well last year. And the addition of Lance and Marty is going to be huge for us.
Cobb.
And the punt coming up from Philadelphia on that 4th and 4. Deep back, Trevor Davis is going to wave this one off and out of bounds it goes.
He is healthy once again. He is dominant down there in the red zone.
It's Hundley on 1st and 10. Looked like he may have just tripped over whether it was his own blocker or somebody coming in. That is not a good sign. 2nd down, 22. Hundley with a lot of pressure. That was batted down and coming right through. Stephen Mean left as a free agent to go to Cleveland as their starter. 3rd and 22. Right on the screws. Good looking pass. Caught by McCaffrey. That name rings a bell. It should.
Going to be a good one for the Panthers.
Played at Stanford. 8th overall pick by Carolina. Here's the punt by Vogel. Good hang time. Humphrey is back. Drives him back to the 13. Hang time 4, 5, 6. Flag is down. Finds a seam. And he is brought down on the play.
During the kick, holding. Receiving team number 59. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. 1st down. Timeout.
Packer assistant Andy Reid.
Matt McGloin, 1st and 10. With a catch outside. That's grabbed by Greg Ward. 2nd down, 5, Matt McGloin. Blitzes on again. Thomas is chasing. And McGloin is on the run. Let's go downstairs to Lance Allen. NFL from Charlotte. Bob Anderson.
That's a good nugget, Kevin. That's a really good nugget.
What do you think I'm doing?
It's only the
summer?
preseason.
Do you think I'm just like sitting on a boat? I'm studying this stuff. Here's a pass on 1st and 10.
Who knows these things? Back Ferrari dealership. They work on Ferraris all the time.
Well, that's what you drive,
No,
so you would
it's
know. You're
not.
going to Jiffy Lube, right?
I'm a Ford guy.
2nd down and 10. Underneath they go. Treggs. And he got a block from his fellow receiver on the play, Greg Ward, and it is 1st and 10. McGloin. Oh, he's got Treggs, who beats King.
Short memory. You're going to play cornerback in this league.
He's 6'3" is King.
There it is.
There's a stick, and they go outside to the running back Humphrey, and he was drilled quickly. 2nd down, 10. Each team with 2 timeouts outside they go here. And that is caught by Billy Brown, a rookie free agent, and then it was jarred free.
Makes them more efficient. You know, they want to go as far and
The previous play is under review.
Under 2 minutes, it's in a review called by the booth.
Maybe we're going to look at that tablet right here on the sideline.
Well, there is a hooded.
And King, he makes the first hit. Blake Martinez, watch right here. He comes in and he violently knocks that ball out with his shoulder and forearm.
I don't think his left knee was down, Rich. I don't think the other day. And Jordy.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. 1st down.
Say that practice snaps may be more important now than preseason snaps.
Even if you're a veteran player like Aaron Rodgers.
Hundley gets it 1st down and 10. That's picked off. Grabbed by Michael Kendricks, the veteran, who struggled in coverage a season ago for Philadelphia. He's going to go to the other side this time. He was looking for, so far McGloin is 14 of 17 through the air. He has thrown a pick. He was incomplete there. 2nd down and 10. I was maybe deflected, right? Was that deflected? I think it was. Potter had 3 picks, and he missed 3 games with a broken forearm. 3rd and 10. McGloin swings it to the near side. Treggs with a catch right in front of Kevin King. For 1 interceptions, number 3 sacks. Here's a field goal try from 46, and it is no good. Hits the upright. They can't get it through. Caleb Sturgis.
Spend 50, 60 hours a week in the facility.
Osby will kick it off, and taking it, Shelton Gibson. and right to work. Outside he goes. Hollins, who had the touchdown reception. What?
Levers, long arms, long hands. Ability to create some separation.
Pistol, second down and 4, and working his way through. That's the Wisconsin Badger. For their last 5. It's third and a couple. The slippery McGloin. And that is a catch.
And you see that flag in the secondary, some type of defensive holding.
Holding. Defense number 46. Penalties decline. Result of the play. First down.
Confidence. All those things factor in when you're grading a corner or a safety.
It is a 1st and 10 with a quick throw caught by Greg Ward. Loss of a yard on the previous play. Second down 11. Matt McGloin. As that pocket was crumbling, he throws it away, and it's incomplete.
Do it here. It's a draft and develop philosophy under Ted Thompson.
3rd and 11. Here comes the rush by Ringo. Maybe for Gibson it was going for him. Hawkins was defending.
Or as an undrafted player.
Donnie Jones will punt. Davis back.
There he goes again.
Oh, here he comes again. That was knocked out of bounds by the receiver, Greg Ward. 4.
Can go.
1st and 10. Handoff here. Aaron Jones out of Texas, El Paso. 5th round pick. And it's a gain of a yard right there. Back in last year's preseason when Hundley went down. 2nd down, 9. That's what he does so well. Uses that moving pocket. Carriage, the fullback, is the one. Is that in Delaware?
He's in Delaware. You're right.
3rd down, 6. Here he goes. He gets the block in. He's got the first down. That's what they like about him.
He's gone out of his way to help the younger players at his position.
Like you did, 1st and 10 with the handoff here to Jones. He was in on the play by Terrence Brooks.
You know, I think it took a while to warm up to Aaron Rodgers a little bit there. And it's not easy when they draft a quarterback in the 1st round at your position.
Screenplay to Aaron Jones on the 2nd and 11.
Aaron can play as long as he wants. He is at the top of his game right now.
3rd down, 11. Joe Callahan. Oh, look out from the side. Here they come. Aaron Grimes out of Idaho came streaming in. He was rated, though, the #1 punter coming out of college this year in this class, but was undrafted.
This is an area where I think he's pretty good. These pooch punts down inside out of Auburn. First team All-SEC performer last season.
False start.
There's Isaiah Lunsford. Yeah. He got caught. There's a penalty on the Eagles. 1st and 15 for McGloin. He swings it outside, caught by Treggs, working on the coverage of Josh Hawkins. He's out to about the 12-yard line, and
I've been so used to playing next to Streif out in New Orleans, and I've been used to playing next to TJ. So it's taken a while, but I think every game that we get and practice time, it's just going to get better.
Quarterback, they've got Nick Foles as the backup, and he is not playing tonight. They go outside here. Little boot, Billy Brown. Stanford, wide receiver on the fly, picks up 6.
With a big punt return tonight from Trevor Davis.
Corey Clement is in there. 3rd and 4. McGloin outside. He hits the rookie with a nice catch, Mac Hollins. 1st down and 10. Clement. He was hit initially and spun around by Lunsford and is stopped. No gain on the play. They stay at the 37.
Information to the guys up front and the guys behind them.
2nd down, 10. McGloin outside and shedding the oncoming tackler, Hollins. Drive by Matt McGloin. We have a 1st and 10. Puts that away.
He's not going to back down. He has the size that you like at that position. He can be a physical corner.
Corey Clement.
Ball.
He's the fastest player on the Green Bay defense is Josh Jones. 3rd and 2, incomplete. In the vicinity was Jermaine Whitehead. And 2 days later, the Green Bay practice squad. 4th and 2. McGloin, he's got his receiver, and that's a 1st down catch by Greg Ward, the rookie free agent.
6 picks later in the draft, Kevin. All offensive players, including 3 running backs and 2 receivers.
And on that 1st and 10, incomplete. Dupree, coming out of high school, is the #1 high school wide receiver in the country. Great pressure, and it was applied by Reggie Gilbert. He was in camp last year.
Take a deep breath and maximize their opportunity in a great situation.
McGloin, 3rd and 10. The middle is open. Clement, the Wisconsin Badger, inside the 20.
For the safety.
Flag on 1st and 10. Clement again. And he got by Tripp, and then he was brought down by Donatello Brown. Over 2 to play here in the 3rd. Gain of 12 as it stands.
On defense. Penalties declined. Result of the play. 1st down.
It'll be a 1st down for Philadelphia. A 6-minute drive here by Matt McGloin. Clement on 1st and goal. And stood up by a couple, including Jordan Tripp. Gained down to about the 6 and a 1-yard pickup.
Cool night here in Green Bay.
With the pressure, McGloin goes outside.
And try and earn a roster spot.
McGloin, 3rd and goal. Clement off his fingertips. And incomplete. He is the only kicker in camp for the Eagles. Flag thrown. And the kick was good. Let's see what the flag is all about. 4th and goal at the 7.
Offside. Defense number 46. Lined up in the neutral zone. Penalties declined. Field goal's good.
They're not going to take points off the board.
See what they can do running between the tackles.
There's 29 yards rushing tonight for Green Bay. This will go out of the end zone. To the 25. Devontae Mays in the backfield. He's a 7th-round rookie. Outside they go here. Nice route run by Malachi Dupree. That's the kid from LSU, the #1 high school receiver in the country.
In a great system with a great quarterback for the Tigers.
2nd down, 2. Gets it out in a hurry, and Dupree can't reel it in with nice coverage on the play by C.J. Smith.
The man coverage. He's got to win outside.
Quick throw, incomplete. They were going for McCaffrey. And the coverage on the play by Rasul Douglas. 4th and 2. Swinging it outside. It's caught by the running back. Mays, and he's got the 1st down.
Demarius Randall suffering a concussion. Guys, back to you.
Thank you. 1st and 10. Free play. Flag will be on Philly. As Callahan sends it downfield. McCaffrey out of bounds. Incomplete on the 1st and 10 throw.
Offside. Defense number 77. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 1st down.
Been a number of different backs that have rolled through.
1st and 5 here. And a block from Murphy, and look at McCaffrey. Downfield with the catch.
McCaffrey a chance to make a catch.
Longest play tonight by Green Bay. 1st and 10. They go outside here. Dupree. Ooh, is he drilled. Ball chart free. The hit on the play by Trey Sullivan. With Matt McGloin, the quarterback. Well, we had some movement. The clock at 14:06. We've got basically the entirety of this 4th quarter to play.
Especially if you're not anticipating it.
Offense number 74. Snap infraction.
I will say it looked like
protect yourself.
He may have been coiling just a bit. Fortunately, our injury list is getting long in this game. 1st and 15. McGloin incomplete. The receiver fell. Pass was wide. Greg Ward. Here are the 2nd down, 15. Whoops. Hold on. And he got it away, and it's caught by David Watford. He's on a Hampton. Missed a couple games that came back to play. 3rd and 15 here for McGloin. Underneath, it's caught by Billy Brown, who tries to squirm away from older brother of Christian McCaffrey, Heisman finalist out of Stanford. 8th overall pick, played last night for Carolina in their preseason opener. Bad punt, McCaffrey waving it off, getting clear inside the 30.
Inside the pocket.
Quarterback remains Callahan. William Stanback is the new running back. And he gets the call, and he is wrestled down by Elijah Qualls.
He's only a third-year player, so that is a very young and inexperienced group behind Aaron Rodgers.
Second down and 10. Callahan spins completely around, gets the pass outside to D'Angelo.
Green Bay Packers. Ty Montgomery can't play every play this season for the Packers.
First and 10, and he loops one for McCaffrey, which is incomplete with a little shove right there by Mitchell White. Second and 10.
Good fake.
Going deep. He's got his receiver, Yancey.
Oh, that could have been pass interference.
Coverage by White.
Big play capability.
Third down 10. Callahan underneath. Grabbed by Michael Clark, a rookie free agent from Marshall. Got some officiating here in just a second. First down and 10. Callahan. And it is stand back for just a couple. No gain, in fact, nothing on the play. And that is the side judge, Dave Foxcroft. Second down, 10. Callahan. Nice catch, but out of bounds, I think, for Trevor Davis.
NBA's got full-time officials, Major League
Yes,
Baseball.
Third down, 10. Callahan fires that one, and it's caught by Monte Crockett. That's Rich Gannon time. First and 10. Oh, he's got him. Oh. He's got him. And then there is... It's a second down and 10 for Callahan. They'll throw it away. You know, talking about officials, Rich, the NFL officials were in Green Bay in early August for 3 days.
How are the changes that for the rules?
There are 2 fouls on the play, both by the offense. Enabled the receiver downfield. That penalties decline. Pass interference. Offense number 11. 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Second down, 20 from the 41.
Oh, these false start penalties are killers.
Can't have it.
Sloppy.
False start. Offense number 86. 5-yard penalty.
Rich, let me ask, that's an Aaron Peck. Let me ask you about just the 13 padded practices and training camp.
In a way, in a good way, just in terms of, I think, protecting players.
Oh, fumble, Callahan. It's loose. Underneath, which is grabbed by Yancey, and there's a fumble.
Ball still out. He still doesn't have possession of it. Especially with these young players, they need to see him play. You mentioned the shortened practices, the shortened camps and OTAs, and it's tough for a young player to come in and make a playoff team like the Packers. 6'4", he's 220 pounds. Shane Leckler, like played with in Oakland, is a big punter.
Dane Evans is the new quarterback for Philadelphia, rookie free agent.
That's what they think Justin Vogel has. He's got a big strong leg, and he can really bang it into the wind.
Second down, 5, and almost picked off on the play by Daquan Holmes. Cross, 3rd and 5. Evans, he rears back, and there's that one to Gibson, incomplete. Some jobs, make some money for his family, went back to school. Punt by Jones. McCaffrey is back. At the 36, 37-yard line. And this guy is an incredible athlete with the first and 10. Little handoff here. Khalif Phillips, rookie free agent, Charlotte. And he was brought down from behind by Stephen Daniels. Ooh, hit, fumble, and recovered by the Packers.
I think that's what's the great part about coming to work every day.
And what about the evolution of the safety position? You're playing inside linebacker, that nitro position. You got to do a lot of things out there. You got to be versatile.
Yeah, I think he showed a lot of physicality, and that's what you want to see in him, and that's a fun thing to watch.
You were the leading tackler last season. I want to imagine you want to keep that championship.
Yeah, long as our defense is one of the tops in the league, I'm good with it.
All right, Morgan, back up top.
In these critical snaps that they'll play in the kicking game.
Good to see Pringle get up. Here's Evans with a short throw up the middle, and that ball is loose too after a hit. May have back or wide receivers, they'll play defensive backs. Running backs will play linebacker at the high school level. Some do have some tackling experience. Throwing it back at David Watford.
That line is your boundary. You want an athletic quarterback that can make a play if something bad happens.
Like right here. That's a 3rd and 6 scramble for a run by Dane Evans.
Critical for these young players.
Packers kept 7 wide receivers last year. Only team in the NFL that kept out of camp 7 wide receivers. Evans hit as he throws. Nice grab made by Watford out of Hampton.
Sling it.
1st down and 10. Good time. Going deep, and he's got his guy. Oh! Incomplete as it picked off. Ability. He runs a 4.4 5.40. And on the move, he gets it off to the fullback Carriage, who has impressed many people. Nelson injury in Pittsburgh a couple years ago that the starters, especially the most valuable guys, just don't play that much. Understandably so. Hill on the move. Here's what he does so well.
We talked about a quarterback that can run.
1st and 10. Coming up, the 2-minute warning. Hill moves up, evades the pressure. Downfield he goes, and incomplete. He was zeroing in on.
Spent a lot of time on non-rhythm throws.
2nd and 10. It's a handoff to Khalif Phillips out of Charlotte. Check with Lance in just a second on some injury updates. Hill hit as he throws, and across the middle, McCaffrey gets the ball, cradles it in. Good time. And deep he goes, lets it float, it's caught! Caught by Yancey! And down he is at the 9, it'll be 1st and goal. It's a 1st and goal. Hill. He outruns everybody. Look at him. He runs out of real estate.
Back here against the Los Angeles Rams, but there will be an emphasis on the running game here the next 3 weeks.
2nd down, goal. Got it! Touchdown! Michael Clark, the former basketball player. Bow leap. As does Michael Clark.
This is good to see, and a really nice throw by Hill. Back shoulder throw. Good anticipation against the New Orleans Saints in a preseason game.
Extra point, Crosby. And by the way, that's good. That has been a thing you talked about early on. Rookie free agent.
You know, it's amazing to me is how they're not all 1st and 2nd round players.
Nope.
90 players in this roster. 77 began their career with the Packers.
The Bob's Discount Furniture play of the game. Also look forward to next week in Washington. Just a couple seconds left here, and that is picked off! Dropped by Brown.
Georgia.
2nd down, 10 with the handoff here, and this goes to Byron Marshall out of Oregon. Clock is showing zeros, and the Packers have won on 2 touchdown passes by 2 different quarterbacks and a 68-yard punt return. Packers had 4 takeaways that led to 17 points.